Hello, hello, GM, everybody. Good morning, good evening, whatever you are. This is Fehmi from VS1, and today we have an epic episode with Fig from Squid. I can't wait to really dive and understand everything about what you guys are building, what's the future, and what got you here, by the way. So, without further ado, let me just introduce my guest here. Very proud to have you on stage. How about maybe introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Hey guys, my name's Fig. I'm one of the co-founders of Squid, and I'm my background is in a bunch of different things. I started out in medicine actually, and really enjoyed medicine, but found that the startup world wasn't quite, you know, it was a bit restricted because of regulations. Rightly so. I think medicine, you don't want your surgeon to try something new on you. Um, And so I quit medicine, moved on to a bunch of different things. I actually I taught myself to code, worked as an engineer, worked as a designer, ended up getting really interested in finance. We can maybe get into that later, but a lot of different parallels between medicine and finance, I think. And then while I was doing finance, got in touch with some friends who were doing crypto stuff, and it brought all of my interests together, the sort of entrepreneurial side, and more of a cypherpunk sensibility, which I'd always been interested in, and just became a really natural thing. So yeah, that's my background. Started Squid maybe 4.5 years ago with three co-founders.
All right, very cool. Very interesting story. I'm actually, this is the first time I have someone who started with medicine completely at the opposite side of the spectrum, obviously. And then you seem like someone who's technical. You did engineering, and then you like from there you went into finance, and then that took you to crypto in the end, which is amazing. So, these are very different industries, if we can call them industries, or at least like verticals. Um, in crypto, there's multiple things. Obviously, it's not only about DeFi and like tokens being transferred and everything. What excited you back then about like this cypherpunk, this kind of ethos of bypassing the intermediaries, or like what resonated with you back then?
Yeah, exactly. Bypassing intermediaries is a huge thing. When I was working in TradFi, traditional finance, I saw the just layers and layers and layers of extraction that people were able to do from what seemed to be very simple things or even automatable things like um, a finance person might have just a trick that they've worked out, maybe around tax or around setting up a company or um, doing a sort of investment style. And once they have that down, they can just keep repeating that. And because they have this sort of information no one else has, they can extract from the system. And when I came across crypto, I could see that these insights or these sort of ways of plugging different parts of the world together using finance could be automated using smart contracts. And we could get rid of all of this sort of rent seeking. We could make the system much more efficient, really fast, probably fairer. Um, and yeah, that appealed to me massively. So building those systems, which make the finance system actually simpler because we're just putting them into code somewhere. They're accessible for anyone in the world to use. That really appealed to me. And then previously, I've always been interested in like peer-to-peer stuff like torrenting, and um, it goes deeper there. But I had that long background from when I was in high school, and playing with computers and reading science fiction like William Gibson and a bunch of other authors. So crypto really has that like future is here kind of feeling about it, and like anyone can come and just like build something really amazing, really powerful. So that appealed to me as well. It's this wild west, and as the world feels a little bit, I don't know what it is. It's like we don't have really a control back in the world. Like, the governments are out of our control. Like AI is basically funneling all of our content into us, and we're essentially slaves to the system. Crypto really feels like the individual can take back control, and I think that's going to be a good thing for the world.
Definitely. I think I had like a similar revelation. I didn't have exactly a similar trajectory, but I started in engineering. Then I found myself working in banks. for like a Canadian government bank, by the way. So bank and government. I was
Yeah.
like suit and tie every day. And then I stumbled on Bitcoin about 12 years ago, and I was like, oh, this is completely what I was looking for. Because like growing up, I was a punk. I was like a heavy metal guy. I had my own band. Like I was like really against I was into like anarchy and that kind of stuff, but I was a teenager. But that kind of stuck with me. And being at the bank, I saw how that system works, right? Like and how it really works on profit, 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 and that's it. And everybody's just a number, either clients or employees or whatever. And then this peer-to-peer heaven came out. Unfortunately, we'll come back to it. Banks are coming back from the back door today, but that's a different story. So I think it's time to talk about Squid. So what was the initial trigger? And then we'll dive into what is it exactly, how does it work, what does it do, and why is it useful? So what was the initial trigger and what was the intent initially?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with just what Squid is. So it's a backend protocol, smart contract protocol, and a front end that allow you to swap any token across any chain. So if I have Ethereum on Ethereum, I can swap it for say XRP on the XRP ledger. Um, I can do that basically instantly, very, very low cost. And we support 100 chains, tens of thousands of tokens. So it's basically a system for letting you get tokens anywhere. And the trigger for it was like back 5 years ago. It was what 2020. Ethereum had really found product market fit with DeFi. DeFi had like blown up on COVID, and it just really showed the power of blockchains. And we have all these different, someone could build a protocol and you could plug it into another protocol, and you could have this one wallet, your MetaMask, and you could use like a lending protocol over here, DEX over here, and you know, we could buy NFTs all in this same like system. It was really easy to use. It obviously had problems back then around ease of use, but I could see that this is so much easier than say I have my bank account and I need to interact with a business in like India or in Australia or Japan. It's an instantly global system which anyone can interact with, like incredible thing. Ethereum was really slow and expensive, and we found that it was basically going to be impossible for one chain to serve all of the world. So we had these new chains pop up, Avalanche, Polygon, Solana was around early then, and then, Optimism, Arbitrum, XRPL's there in the background as well. And they're all building their own ecosystems, but you lose this thing of I have my account and I can go and interact with any application or business wherever they are. So what was missing is this what we call cross-chain side of things. And so this is where in my wallet I'm holding Ethereum, and the application over here is using say USDC on Polygon. You need some solution to swap your Ethereum for USDC on Polygon before you can go and use that app. So that's what Squid's trying to solve. There were some solutions back then which had terrible user experience. I go into the details, but basically we wanted to build something extremely simple that a normal person would be able to use without needing to understand what's happening under the hood. And the final vision is you don't even know that you're going between chains. You're literally just using applications. So even if Squid is moving your tokens across chain, under the hood, you should just think I have USD in my account and I can use any app in the world. That's kind of the vision. And it's turned out to be a really solid vision because it's still a problem now. It's only getting more of a problem as there are so many chains getting launched. I mean, this year we had Google announced a chain, Stripe's doing one, Circle, Tether. Like there's going to be so many big chains because everyone wants to own their own piece of the crypto world, and there's going to need to be cross-chain activity to get between all of these different ecosystems. So that's what Squid is. That's where it came from. And yeah.
All right. You said that you didn't want to go through the pain of like how clunky the user experience was a few years ago. I can talk to that, and I think maybe we should cover it a little bit because I remember the days where bridging tokens from one chain to the other was so painful and so scary, by the way,
Yeah.
where you also had to pay gas fees in two different tokens. You had to send your tokens and just hope that they make it. Sometimes taking hours or sometimes even days, right? Like, and you're like, okay, what's going on? Did I lose everything? And like you're sweating, and then finally it shows up. Or sometimes you can't really get them because you don't have the native token on the like the receiving chain. The experience was really bad. So, how do you guys solve that? Because like for people who are technical enough, the native bridging doesn't solve that at all. Are you guys using intents or like what kind of technology are you guys using?
Yeah, exactly. That it's so scary. Or it was back in the day. It would take, firstly, even just understanding what you need to do to get to another chain would take someone like me who, I'm quite technical and understand crypto, take me like 30 minutes to an hour just to, even more sometimes, to research like where is the bridge and what do I actually need to get there. And you need to do trial and error with like a few cents, and if it works, then you can send more through. Like it's just totally unusable. And so what we solved it with, like I'll go straight to how we solved it today. We've actually gone through a few iterations, improving as we go. But what we do today is a really nice setup. Basically, it's an escrow model. And in finance, an escrow is where usually in traditional finance, a regulated entity would hold your assets for you. That and then say you want to transact with, if we want to transact with each other, I've got USDC, you've got XRP. I give my XRP, sorry, USDC to the escrow person. You also give your XRP to the escrow person, or you give it to me directly, and then the escrow gets released back to you. So that way, there's someone in the middle who sort of makes sure that no one loses money and both sides put their part of the trade through. And that's what our protocol does. We've built a like decentralized protocol that allows anyone to transact with anyone else across any chain um, with extremely low costs and instantly. So how it works is if I've got USDC on Ethereum, I want to go to XRP on XRPL. I first get a quote from the Squid API or the Squid front end, and on our front end, we have order books from what we call market makers, who are professional traders. These are the people that are providing prices on Binance and all the centralized exchanges. So it's really, really good pricing. Um, Once I'm happy with the price, I lock up my USDC on an escrow account on Ethereum, and then the market maker who gave the quote will see that I've locked up my money, and they will provide me XRP on the XRP side. Um, so that happens within seconds. So I've now provided USDC and received XRP just in seconds across chains, any token to any token. My journey is now done, so I can move on and do what I want to do, and that's what we're trying to optimize for. Like the user is the most important thing. The market maker, they now need to use the protocol to verify that both they filled the right amount of XRP and that the deposit of USDC happened in escrow. And if both of those things have been verified by the protocol, then the USDC is released and given to the market maker. So they get their side of the trade. Um, and we can use this model across every token and chain. So what it means is you can just get a quote and instantly swap to any token across any chain. Yeah, in seconds. And
That's brilliant.
yeah,
I remember back on Bitcoin Talk when there was almost nothing, right? Like the early days of Bitcoin, a lot of like, Bitcoin Talk users were escrow, like because they were trusted by the community. So to buy anything, you had to go through them, right? Like I'm talking about buying like physical stuff, right? Because back then we were all thinking about how can I spend my Bitcoin, which was stupid, obviously. But like we were mining Bitcoin, we're getting Bitcoin, or like, okay, what can I do with this? Like I have Bitcoin, what can I do other than like buying drugs on Silk Road, which is not my thing, right? I can maybe buy a graphic card. Okay, I'll go on Bitcoin Talk, send my Bitcoin to an escrow, get the graphic card. Once received, he releases it to the seller, and that's how the marketplace worked back then on Bitcoin Talk. So now you translate that to actually any token on any chain through these professional market makers that have the liquidity. For those who are potentially into the industry of like bridging and like cross-chain liquidity, I'm guessing that these are potentially using centralized exchanges, or maybe rebalancing their accounts themselves, or do you guys handle that for them?
Exactly. We don't handle rebalancing. That's all on them, which is a really nice model because they're the experts at moving money around. They use centralized exchanges a lot of the time. They might use native bridges sometimes. They might use some of our competitors. It's just up to them, whatever's the most cheap. But the nice thing about it as well is that they don't have to rebalance. So the rebalancing problem, first of all, is if, say, everyone wants XRP, like for some reason, it's going up, people are trying to buy. Um, the market maker will be spending a lot of their XRP to fill all these orders, and now they ended up with USDC on Ethereum. They need to somehow now get their USDC to XRP. What's this rebalancing step? And usually it's like Binance because they just have the most like XRP and USDC sitting on their deposit accounts. But it can be any model really.
Very cool. Um, you also mentioned that you are a back-end protocol with a front end. I would like to maybe double click on that duality. Obviously, it's very easy to understand that there's a front end, which means that it's user facing. Anybody can go there and use it, right? But saying that it's a back-end protocol implies that it could be used by other front ends. Is that the case? And is that the vision, by the way?
Only, yeah. We have hundreds, if not thousands, at this point of partners who are using the Squid API and SDK under the hood. They're using it for everything from just swaps to payments to like purchases, on-chain purchases. We're doing like yield and loans. So Squid can really be used for nearly every kind of protocol. And the vision was we think that it's very scalable to have one API that anyone can use, and that it has been. Like we get a new partner nearly every single day. But the thing we found over the years is that despite that, people still come to our front end to do movement of assets and swaps for whatever reason, whether maybe our user experience is better, they trust the brand more. So we've actually started to invest more in our front end, and um, we're very good at it. We've got an amazing design and a good front end teams. Originally, the front end was just a demo so that we could sell more API integrations, but it's actually almost turned out the other way. That the API is like it's a nice thing, but the front end may become the core of the business over time.
Very interesting. That also means that the front end is very easy to use because that's the most important factor here, right? Like if it's clunky as it was before, then nobody will use it. But if it's kind of really like safe, easy, just like fill up the things, click, and then it's like done almost instantly, then that's potentially the reason why people come back, right? Like it's like why wouldn't they? Okay. If we talk about like some analytics, how many, like, I know that you might not have the exact numbers, but like as like an order of magnitude, how much volume, how many users are currently using Squid?
Yeah, yeah. We do about 4 million a day of volume. We've got 25 to 30,000 monthly active users. Overall, we've had about 900,000 users, 5 billion of volume. Um, I think, yeah, those are the main numbers. We've done 2 million, maybe 3 million transactions now. Um,
That's very cool. We're talking today because as VS1, we were trying to find what would be the best solution to bridge back and forth from XRPL, which is very underserved. A lot of people don't know about it, although it's been here almost forever, but it doesn't have much being built in. And then we were analyzing different options, and then we found out that like the best option would be Squid because of that ease of use, because of also the back end and the front end. And obviously, because you've been there for a few years, you're not just like a new kid on the blocks trying to say, yeah, I can do it too. Here's my smart contracts that are audited. Um, how did you guys like grow? Was it like organic? Did it happen over time slowly, or was it like an explosion? Can you tell us about that trajectory?
yeah, I mean, it was really crazy at the start. From the day we launched, I think we already had 12 partners signed up, and these were the major dexes on a bunch of different chains, like launched with us on the day. And then from there, we had a new partner every single day, and we were just the whole team was like working overnight, like all the time to try and serve all this demand. So we had a really good start, um, and that was fairly organic. I think there was a need for cross chain back then. Like, but I mean, there still is now, but there was no one else that could do it. We were really the first to do any to any, which means swap any token to any other token. Before, maybe you had to swap to USDC, then bridge USDC, and then swap from USDC to the token you actually want, which just is obviously a much worse user experience. But we allowed you to get straight to anything. So we had a pretty crazy start. We're also quite closely partnered with another cross-chain protocol called Axelar, and they had already built a really big reputation, a lot of legitimacy, extremely secure, like good team. So that helped us grow in the early days because they were kind of backing us and like saying, yeah, these guys are good for it. So um, yeah, that really helped. And I mean, from there, it's been fairly consistent. We're just like, oh, we're still getting new partners every day, as I said. So it's been a uh, nice journey. Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah, I'm a fan of XLR, by the way. I'm Canadian, so I can only be a fan.
nice.
And the journey that you guys had, I think you were there at the right time, which is very important. You identified the problem, and you were one of the early movers, or the first, the first movers, which is also important because it's easy in crypto to just like copy someone else's work and say I'm gonna do it better or whatever. But if you're there, if you're really serious and you care about like solving the problem, not just like trying to launch a token and rug the pool, then you usually succeed because the industry, like sometimes we think about people as a competitor, but we end up partnering because someone would think, okay, Squid and Axelar, aren't they competing for the same thing? Like, or how can they be partners? But that can only happen in crypto. And I've seen it over and over and over again because people are like, we're in a small industry where like we have to work together because the potential is so big, the market is so huge. Like we can only prevail if we help each other instead of fighting against each other. And I'm hoping that these tribes also understand this message because I still today I see fights between the Solana people and the ETH people and the Cardano people are like, we're all in this together. We're all less than 1% of the population. So let's stop fighting, right? Yeah. Okay. Uh,
We're getting eaten by TradFi if we're not careful.
Actually, this is a good segue because that was my next section. I wanted to maybe circle back to something I mentioned earlier, which is we all started this trying to bypass the intermediary, talking about the financial system, and have true peer-to-peer financial interactions, instantaneous across the globe. Obviously, it's fragmented, but with tools like Squid or Axelar or Wormhole or whatever other tools that we have, we're able to kind of like make it a little bit better. But what was the initial ethos is kind of being forgotten today. And those institutions that fought hard to make sure that crypto is banned, crypto is like really pushed away from the real market. They were like some builders are still in prison, by the way. So like free Roman because like I don't understand why like if someone builds code, they are responsible for people misusing that code. Like it doesn't make sense at all. But these institutions are coming back, right? They're actually eating up crypto. They're coming with huge liquidity, and they realize that they can do the same things they do for a fraction of the cost and safely. So they're like, oh, we're gonna use this. It's as if we built the rails and then they're running with the train, right? Like oh, thank you very much. We're gonna use it. I just saw that Western Union is now gonna be using crypto. So it was the biggest like threat to them, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna use it now." So how do you see the future? How do you see and how do you feel about that first? But how do you see that future of marrying uh, crypto people and institutional like TradFi people?
Yeah, I mean, candidly, I'm pretty sad about the loss of that cyberpunk vision, but I think pragmatically that this is what had to happen. Um, it for crypto to actually be useful and not just a scam. I mean, I think Bitcoin has its own thing. Like that's a an asset that can't inflate, and we have the US dollar problem of just printing money. So that alone, I think, is it doesn't need anything else to justify its existence. But the rest of crypto, which is like is really technology. It's like finance technology, and it's regulatory technology as well. When I say regulatory technology, I mean it allows you to do things which wouldn't be possible in a regulated financial situation, like allowing anyone to interact with anyone else. It's not allowed in the traditional system. Um, and it allows people to innovate really, really quickly. And I think we're kind of getting the best of both in that we still have that fast innovation and the freedom to improve the system and like cut out middlemen, but we're losing a bit of the like freedom and separation from governments and separation of money and state and all these dreams that we had. I'm not sure like where that's going to end up now because the the crypto industry really has had a lot of adoption now from pretty big financial institutions and fintech as well. Centralized fintech like Stripe is coming in. I think that's a really good thing for all of us, but it just changes the paradigm a bit. I think with Trump coming in, having centralized systems, we found in cross-chain, like we've always really focused on decentralized protocols, but there've been some more centralized apps and well, not protocols, just centralized companies that do cross-chain, which have done really well because it's extremely cheap to do. You're still using a blockchain under the hood, but like a lot of the logic you have to build to make a cross-chain swap or a bridge possible, it's a lot easier to do if you just put it on AWS rather than build this like proper peer-to-peer decentralized protocol. So if you can, we're seeing everyone minimize the amount of decentralization they do just to the point where they use the blockchain and they put all the application logic off chain. And we've seen that strategy just work time and time again. I mean, and I think that pattern is just going to continue, and you're going to end up with essentially traditional finance companies using their like standard processors, except having the assets on chain. And yeah, I think that's maybe a bad thing, but it's going to end up with something better than what we had 10 years ago.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you. Gone are the days where we're thinking that this is going to replace TradFi. Nothing is going to replace TradFi. Like the biggest issue with DeFi, even if DeFi is amazing, something that DeFi will never be able to do is the on-ramp and off-ramp, right? Because that is super regulated, and that's where the governments are like, no, 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 money laundering. CZ went to prison for that. You need to know who's actually entering and exiting any system. And I think it makes sense, right? Like from the perspective of like thinking about it as maybe the drug cartels can use it to launder money if we don't control it. They've done it for years, and I think they're still doing it, but like that's a different story. I agree with the fact that we've been dreaming of onboarding the millions and the billions into crypto and DeFi, but I also think that the only ones who have the keys to that are TradFi. And they have the customers, they have the on-ramps, the off-ramps, they actually have that fake money, the dollars, and they control it. So if they can use crypto as the DeFi mullet, as we say in the industry, where crypto is in the background operating, and they build this application layer on top of it to control their audience and their users, maybe that's the way it should go, because we're seeing it across the board now with Stripe, with PayPal, with Robinhood, with Coinbase, which is a centralized exchange. But for me, centralized exchange is a bank. It's not a DeFi protocol. But they're using Morpho in the background. They're using crypto protocols. And now even Western Union, right? Like the old dinosaur that was gonna get Uberized, they're like finally woke up and like, whoa, 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 like we don't want to disappear, so we're also crypto friendly. And unfortunately, the war is like, should they go on Ethereum or Solana? I personally don't care. I'm an ETH fan, not maxi, but if they go on Solana, it's good as well. Like it's good for crypto in general. Um, the challenge is potentially if some of these, or maybe I'm not gonna name the main politician who launched his meme coin, but if they approach it backwards, right? Trying to profit off it instead of like using it as a technology. And it happened, and I think it destroyed the meme coin industry, which I'm not very sad about. But a lot of people have a lot of money, right? Um, what's what are you kind of hoping for next for the industry? And then we'll go back to Squid.
Yeah, great question. I'm just thinking as to, I guess, from the institutional side and from the user side. From the user side, I think it's still possible. It's still, I can still see the vision of a user not needing to have a bank account ever again. They can just have what is really a wallet under the hood, but maybe they don't even know it's a wallet. But everything's on chain. They hold, no matter where they are in the world, they could hold US dollars, or if the US dollar is doing bad, which it is, they could hold like pounds or something else that's a currency which is strong. They can hold gold, they can hold Bitcoin, they can hold US stocks, all on chain, all tokenized. Um, I think that vision is still going to come true, and that's what we're really excited about that because our business is in tokens. We let people get tokens on any chain, and there's so much work of these like TradFi institutions you're mentioning. They're bringing assets on chain, um, and that's got to be a good thing. That's going to make good good assets available to everyone in the world, and I think that's just good for humanity, really. Um, on the institutional side, what I'd hope for is that they they come on chain, but they keep the interoperability between each other. So what could happen is this private chain idea where Stripe creates a chain, they put everything inside this chain, and all of their products are built on top of it, but no one else can access those products unless you've got your Stripe account, which I think is actually likely to happen. But ideally, you would be able to access Stripe's products even if you didn't have a Stripe account, and you have this sort of free, like, someone builds technology here and suddenly it's available to anyone in the world. I'd like it if we can keep that, but I think realistically we're going to have these silos, these siloed ecosystems. Even someone like Squid won't be able to bridge between them because there'll be a KYC element, an account. So I think that's where everything's going. But yeah, the dream for the user of not having a bank account, I think that's still totally possible.
I love that vision. And you mentioned the concept of like wallets, and I think it's also one of the issues we have today. And I'm hoping that it gets solved because today, if you want to touch multiple things, you actually need multiple wallets, and it doesn't make sense to me. You need like wallets for this chain and wallets for other chain, and this chain only uses this wallet, and that other chain uses that wallet. While I think personally that wallets are cool, um, but I personally think that should not be the main thing. I think identity should be the main thing. I think we need to have a digital identity that is first maybe private using ZK. So like, but you can prove that you are who you are and you own what you own. And then you are that old, you live in that country and wherever, and that should give you access to everything, right? Like instead of saying I need to have multiple wallets and I'm moving my own assets from one wallet to the other, from one chain to the other, you can just say I'm Fig and I can access the Stripe chain. I can access the PayPal, USD, and whatever, without having to connect anything or to sign any transaction or whatever, because everything should be done under the hood. We're getting there, but I didn't see any like real like revolutionary protocol that really focuses on the identity as the cornerstone of everything. There's multiple identity protocols, but none of them is kind of trying to say your identity is the wallet. Actually, forget about the concept of wallets because you are who you are, right? Like in the end, a wallet is like like a sub bank account or something like
Yeah.
that. And yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like sub accounts, totally. Yeah, I agree. I think that problem that I mentioned, where you have these siloed ecosystems, if you can have one kind of ZK KYC thing, where you can just quickly, instantly prove, yeah, I'm a resident of this country and this is my passport. You can sort of prove all that, get access to services. It's not that open cypherpunk world that we dreamed of, but it's pretty good. Like the user experience is going to be really good, and it's a tough problem though, right? Because each that's an amazing position for someone to be in.
Oh yeah,
If they are the identity protocol, it really needs to be some kind of non-profit or like I don't know standard which
yeah,
people
yeah.
follow. So yeah, hopefully they can find that.
Because even the Zk ID providers are fragmented and fighting, right? So that's
Yeah,
what it's
exactly,
happening today.
exactly.
Same as the
Yeah,
chains are fighting for attention, they're fighting for like users and product market fit in the end. Okay, so I really love this conversation, but it's going fast, and which also a good sign that we're having fun at the same time. I would like to see if you would like to share anything about like Squid's future or plans or anything you're hoping for Squid specifically.
definitely. Um, we are we've had a really big year on XRPL, and I mean I can't say too much, but we're really hoping to like strengthen our product offering within XRP Ledger. And I think XRP is one of these companies which, oh, sorry, Ripple is one of these companies that has that bridge between DeFi and TradFi, and they're in an amazing position to sort of make the best of it. So we've been aligning really closely with Ripple, and they've got much amazing things happening. Sorry, I can't say that many specifics, but um, that watch out for stuff there. We have a ton of chain launches coming up, which are really exciting. They're usually chains which are hard to get to, um, chains that I think people care about. So we think this is going to be really big for Squid's like volume numbers, hopefully our revenue as well, the differentiated chains, and good for our partners as well, because there are users in these ecosystems that we're going to that our partners will now be able to access and serve. On the front end side, we're working on something like a wallet layer, which allows you to buy tokens on all chains a little bit more easily. Like you can do it on our front end, but we're trying to level up a little bit more. Just like bring that user experience closer to something that a normal Web2 user would use. And we think that as more and more assets in the world are tokenized, those will be available in Squid, and you'll be able to, you'll be able to buy your stocks and your gold and your tokens, your meme coins, all in one place. And I think, yeah, we're just trying to drive towards that vision of really like taking back control of your money, not having to hand it over to a bank or someone else to manage it. So that's probably what next with Squid. We've got some amazing marketing things coming up, which are going to be.
All right, very cool. I'm excited about that, by the way, and I'm looking forward to knowing exactly what those are. And the fact that you cannot talk about it more means that these are very serious projects, by the way. So to the listeners out there or people who are watching the video feed or the podcast, this also means that you have to follow Squid to be first to know what's going on and what's getting unlocked, because otherwise you'll miss the information. Where can people find you? Where can people follow you?
Yeah, Twitter's really the best for us. Or X, I guess. You can follow me. I think you can put it in the description. I'm ECDSAFU. And Squidrouter is the company's or the project's Twitter. Um, those are the best places. We have a website as well. You can follow and a Discord as well. But that's where, yeah, that's where I go.
All right. Any final words? It could be completely off the field, or we can talk about anything, but anything you would like to maybe conclude and tell the audience about.
No, just that I think crypto's in a really funny place. We've lived in these 4 year cycles. We've lived under like a very scary situation with regulations, and with Trump we've had so much uncertainty and regulatory freedom that I think it's actually it seems scary, but it's been a very good thing for crypto. So while people can feel maybe bearish if the market isn't is just sort of being sideways, there's just so much institutional like onboarding to crypto I'm seeing in the background that it's it's really feels like it's here to stay, no matter what the price does. It's just an exciting time. If you're here listening to this podcast, you're probably
I can't agree more. I think the 4 year cycle euphoria is gone. And the monster is too big to be moved like 10x and 100x like it used to be before. And the good news is there's no going back. Like so much adoption from institutions, governments, everybody now. So crypto is not just for Silk Road anymore. Crypto is for all the use cases, and that's why I'm very confident and bullish on the crypto future. Because honestly, if you're here to say I want to make 100x in 2 months, it's that is almost impossible unless you're lucky and you hit like some kind of weird meme point. But if you're here to build, there's a bright future, and there's so much opportunity, and there's so many new things that will get unlocked in the next few months and years that we're still early, or very early, by the way. I forgot to ask something, and I do at every episode. How do you feel about AI in crypto? I know that it doesn't really disrupt you guys directly, but it is something that is big and kind of everywhere, right? Like, how do you feel about
I personally use AI mostly as a search engine. I use it as a way to get information really well, use it to make code sometimes. I don't do much engineering really anymore, but I did use it a lot. It's incredible. Our team uses it. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. See if it really does get much better than this. I'm a little bit more skeptical on AI than maybe some people. Um, but AI and crypto, I love the dream of, the blockchain. That I think there was an experiment years ago where they tried to make a forest autonomous. I don't know if you know about this, but someone bought some land and it was like some trees. And the trees, I think they had some kind of economic output or something like that. And that economic output went on chain and then paid for like maintenance of the
it? Oh,
trees, which
I'll look it
sounds,
up. I'm not
but
aware
you
of that.
can do, yeah, this idea of like fully autonomous agents is maybe something that AI can come into. Like agents are these, you know, nearly conscious kind of things that are on the internet doing stuff. Crypto hopefully is a way for them to interact and pay for things more easily. So I'm interested in that, but generally skeptical. Yeah, I think AI will just make everyone's lives a lot easier than the front end. That's on the blockchain side.
Don't you think that like agentic transactions will surpass human transactions? Because a lot of people are like, oh, AI agents will handle most of the transactions in the near future. There will be billions of those, and then they will be doing things in the background. I'm looking at like this experiment of like I don't know if you're following this, but someone gave $10,000 to multiple LMs and asked them to trade on Hyperliquid, and
Mm,
apparently like Chat GPT or OpenAI are last. They lost 60% of that. Gemini lost 60%. And the top position is the Chinese LLMs, who
yeah.
already doubled, right? So yeah. So
Yeah.
it's amazing how I think OpenAI expected it to fail because it keeps saying yes, like everything is fine. Like and when you're trading, it's actually money, right? Like you need to be on it. While DeepSeek doubled, like in 7 days, doubled $10,000. So, and it's all open out there, right? They see every chain of thought and every transaction. So not just the transaction, you see how the LLM thinks and
Yeah.
what's the theory. And like, okay, I'm looking at these signals. I need to wait. I need to hold. No, it's time to close the position. And they're leveraging 10x and 20x, like taking a lot of risks. So I'm excited about that. I don't know if it's still early, probably, but I think maybe agents will be the next thing if they can trade better than humans.
I mean, yeah, that's totally true. They can definitely trade better than I can. So, what can I say? Maybe I
I
should
also
be
suck
getting
at
everything
trading.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you guys should build some agentic transactions
Hey,
SDK. That could be a very good edge for Squid as well.
Squid.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, now you say it, if I can, prevent myself from losing myself more money and handle AI, then I'm all for it. Well, maybe we'll think about it. Yeah.
All right. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. I'm super pleased to have you on stage here, and I'm happy we met virtually. We might meet at one of the events if you attend events. And thank you very much for sharing all the sauce here and your journey, everything about Squid. Thank you to all the listeners and people who are watching the video. It's like a pleasure for us to keep like pushing content like this all the time. And then please follow Fig, follow Squid, because obviously they will be sharing alpha and like a lot of new chains are coming, secret ones, which means big projects. And thank you very much. And we'll be here very soon.